Hey everyone. So, I need to vent, and honestly, maybe share a little victory story because what went down last weekend is still playing on a loop in my head. Let me set the stage for you. My baby boy just turned 12 weeks old. 12 weeks of absolute sleep deprivation, figuring out complicated feeding schedules, and finally getting into a groove where I feel like a somewhat functioning human being again. To celebrate my husband's birthday, we decided to brave the outside world and grab an early lunch with his family. This was our very first public outing with the baby and the in-laws combined. Looking back, I should have known it was going to turn into a complete circus. My mother-in-law, let us call her Linda, has always been intense. But ever since the baby arrived, she has gone from mildly annoying to full-blown micromanager. We walk into the restaurant feeling pretty good. I have got the baby fast asleep in his Duna stroller. If you are a mom, you know, that thing is an absolute lifesaver. I roll it up to the table, planning to sit right at the end. That way, I have plenty of space to rock him if he wakes up, and I am not boxed in if I need to make a quick exit. Before I can even pull out my chair, Linda swoops in like a hawk. "Oh, no," she says, waving her hands frantically. "He cannot sit out there in the aisle. People will bump into him. Put the car seat in the booth right next to me." First of all, it is not just a car seat, it is a stroller. Second, putting him in the booth next to her means I cannot easily reach my own child. I politely tell her, "Actually, Linda, I am going to keep him right here with me so I can tend to him." Did she listen? Of course not. She immediately launches into the Spanish Inquisition. "Is he too warm in that? Did you feed him before we left the house? Are you sure he does not need a diaper change right this second? You really should have put a hat on him. The air conditioning in here is absolutely freezing." I am literally staring at her, taking slow, deep breaths. Like, yes, lady, I am the mother. I thought of the diapers, the food, and the temperature. I started to completely tune her out, trying to keep my blood pressure from skyrocketing. She just kept going on and on, leaning over the table, basically trying to dictate every single breath my kid took. I was reaching my absolute breaking point. I looked over at my husband, bracing myself to give him the "we are leaving right now" look. But then, the most unexpected thing happened. My husband, who usually bends over backwards to keep the peace, slowly put his menu down. So, there I was, gripping the edge of the table, my knuckles literally turning white. Linda is still practically vibrating with anxious energy, rambling about how the baby's socks look a little too thin and maybe she should hold him to keep his little feet warm. I am about 10 seconds away from grabbing the diaper bag and walking straight out of the restaurant, birthday lunch be damned. I look over at my husband, fully expecting him to give me that apologetic, deer-in-the-headlights look he usually gets when his mom goes off the rails. You know the look, the "please just bear with her, it is easier than fighting" look. But he did not. Instead, he very calmly placed his menu flat on the table. He did not raise his voice. He did not look angry. He just looked completely and utterly exhausted by her antics. He leaned forward slightly, looked his mother dead in the eye, and cut her off mid-sentence. He said, "Mom, stop. It is not your baby." Point blank. Just like that. It is not your baby. The silence that fell over our section of the restaurant was absolutely deafening. I swear someone could have dropped a napkin and I would have heard it hit the floor. Linda's mouth snapped shut so fast I am surprised she did not chip a tooth. She just sat there, staring at him, completely frozen in place. I honestly do not think anyone has spoken to her like that in her entire life, let alone her precious son. Her eyes darted from him, to me, and back to him, as if she was trying to process the auditory illusion she just experienced. The look on her face was a mixture of pure shock and absolute indignation. It was the classic sour expression, lips pursed together so tightly they practically disappeared. She tried to sputter out a defense, starting with a high-pitched, "Well, I just care about." But my husband did not even let her finish. He held up a single hand, palm out, and said, "We have got it handled. We are his parents. If we need your advice, we will ask for it. Until then, please just let us enjoy lunch." I am not going to lie, I felt a literal wave of adrenaline rush through my body. I was sitting there trying so hard to keep a neutral expression, but inside, I was throwing a massive parade with confetti and a marching band. I was so incredibly proud of him. For the first time, He actually found his backbone and used it to protect our little family bubble from her overbearing nature. After that, the dynamic shifted entirely. Linda sat back in the booth, clutching her iced tea glass like it was a life preserver. She did not say another word about the stroller, the temperature, or the feeding schedule. She just quietly looked at her menu. It literally made my entire day. Actually, no, it made my entire year. So, after that bombshell of a boundary was set, you would think the rest of the lunch would be incredibly awkward. And honestly, for the first 5 minutes, it absolutely was. Linda was practically radiating nervous energy, staring out the window, and completely refusing to make eye contact with either of us. My father-in-law, bless his heart, suddenly became intensely fascinated by the appetizer menu. He started asking the poor waiter a million questions about the calamari, just trying desperately to fill the dead air. But honestly, I did not even care about the awkwardness. I was thriving in it. I was soaking up that glorious silence like it was a luxurious bubble bath. For the first time since we walked into the building, I could actually relax my shoulders. I looked down at my sweet, 12-week-old baby boy, who was still sound asleep in his stroller, completely oblivious to the fact that his father just won the gold medal in boundary setting. I reached under the table and gave my husband's hand a tight squeeze. He squeezed back, giving me this tiny, reassuring smile that basically said, "I have got you." It was such a small gesture, but it meant the absolute world to me. In that moment, we were a solid, united team. When our food finally arrived, it was honestly the most peaceful meal I have had in 3 entire months. I actually got to eat my chicken sandwich with 2 hands, while the food was still hot. Can you even believe it? A hot meal for a new mom. Meanwhile, Linda kept her comments completely and entirely to herself. Every now and then, I would catch her glancing at the stroller out of the corner of her eye. But the exact second my husband looked up from his plate, she would immediately look away and take a very aggressive bite of her salad. She did not ask if the baby was breathing. She did not suggest that I should wake him up just so she could hold him. She did not even make a passive-aggressive comment on the fact that I ordered a side of French fries instead of a side salad. It was nothing short of a miracle. I think the reality finally hit her. She realized that her son is a grown man now, a protective father himself, and that he is going to prioritize the comfort and peace of his wife and child over her constant need for control. We eventually finished our lunch, paid the bill, and casually walked out to the restaurant parking lot. Normally, saying goodbye to her takes about 20 minutes of endless hugging, cheek pinching, and unsolicited parenting advice. But this time, it was a quick wave, a very tight smile, and a brief, "Happy birthday, dear." She got straight into her car, and we got into ours. As soon as our car doors shut and we were safely inside our own vehicle, I let out a massive breath that I felt like I had been holding for the entire week. The baby started to stir in the back seat, waking up right on cue, almost like he knew the coast was finally clear. I turned to my husband before he even put the car in drive. I just looked at him, smiled, and said, "Thank you." I did not need to explain what I was thanking him for. He knew exactly what he did. He looked at me, gave a little exhale, and said, "I should have said something sooner. I am sorry it took me 12 weeks to finally snap out of it." It was such an incredibly validating moment. I told him that I did not care how long it took. Just the fact that he did it when it mattered most was all I needed. The drive home was honestly magical. The baby babbled a little bit in the back, and we just listened to the radio, holding hands over the center console. I felt like a massive weight had been permanently lifted off of my chest. I felt safe, supported, and truly seen by the person I chose to build a life with. It has been a little over a week since the infamous birthday lunch incident, and let me tell you, the entire family dynamic has completely shifted. Linda has texted a few times, but her tone is totally different now. Instead of demanding that we come over, or telling me what I should be doing with the baby's sleep schedule, she actually asks for permission. She texted yesterday asking, "Would it be all right if I dropped by for 20 minutes on Saturday to see the baby?" Would it be all right? Are you kidding me? Who is this woman and what did she do with my overbearing mother-in-law? It just goes to show how incredibly important it is for your partner to be on your team. When you are dealing with tricky in-laws, you, as the wife, are always going to look like the bad guy if you are the one setting the hard boundaries. You instantly become the mean daughter-in-law who is trying to keep the baby away. But when the son does it, When the son steps up and says, "No, this is my family and these are our rules," it changes the entire game. They cannot blame you anymore. They have to face the hard fact that their own child is establishing the rules of engagement. So, to all the new moms out there who are currently struggling with overbearing family members, please do not give up hope. Keep having those quiet, honest conversations with your partner behind closed doors. Explain exactly how it makes you feel when your parenting is constantly questioned. Sometimes it just takes that one specific moment, that one breaking point, for them to finally see the light and step up to the plate. And remember, "It is not your baby" is a complete sentence. Hang in there, mamas. You are doing a fantastic job, you know your baby best, and you absolutely deserve to eat a hot meal in peace without someone breathing down your neck. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. If you have ever had a glorious moment like this where your partner finally stood up for you, please let me know. I would absolutely love to read your stories and celebrate your victories with you. Until next time, take care.